You're listening to the Balanced Educator Podcast, episode number 76.
Welcome to the Balanced Educator. We're your hosts, Kaylee
and Josiane from EduCalm. Our intention is to equip and empower you to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in all aspects of your life. Hello there, and welcome to the Balanced Educator Podcast. We're so happy you're here. Today, we are continuing our Avoiding Teacher Burnout series with part 3 of 5, all about how to manage your emotions in the classroom. So we talked about habits and then thoughts, and now we're diving into emotions. But before we get started, we would like to talk about Free Label.
Today's sponsor is one of our faves. Josiane and I have been obsessed with Free Label for so long. One of the things we love about them is how versatile and well-made their clothing is. It's the most comfortable clothing, but yet I wear it to professional things. I wear Free Label always when I'm doing presentations. It looks professional and yet it's insanely comfortable because it's so well made.
And also, I have pieces that I've had for over 3 years that I wear at least twice a week, and they still are in pristine shape.
Yes.
Good job, Free Label.
Yes. Free Label's fall line is so awesome. Their colors are beautiful, and they're bringing back all of their pieces that are the most popular, like their Sunday pants, their Andy bra. I live in my Andy bra. It's reversible. It's so comfortable.
It's so cute.
Yeah. Their Duggan long sleeve, which we both have.
Yeah, different colors.
Yeah. So you guys should check out Free Label. They're awesome. Go to educalm.com/free label. That's educalm.com/FREELABEL.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the show.
Let's get into it. So this series is all about avoiding teacher burnout. So we are teaching strategies that are going to help you all year long to be your best self so that you don't fall into that burnout state.
So important.
So important.
We can't state it enough. This is why we're doing a 5-part series on it.
Exactly. So in the past episodes, and if you haven't listened to the last 2 episodes yet, I encourage you to check them out because each episode is kind of building on the other. But in our first Avoid Teacher Burnout series, we talked about the habit loop. So the habit loop can be applied to any habits of actions or of thinking that we have in our life.
So refresh my memory there.
So there's 4 parts to the habit loop. First, you have a cue. Then it's a craving, then it's a response, then it's a reward. So the cue is either the situation or the emotion you're feeling that makes you want to take an action. The craving is the shift in state that you think the next action will bring to you. Right? So if you get home, that's the cue. You're feeling stressed, so you crave sitting to watch TV. You're not actually craving watching the TV. You're craving the shift from feeling stressed to feeling relaxed.
Yes.
So then the response is the next step. So we have cue, craving, response. The response is the action that you take or the thought that you think. So in our first episode, we talked about, the habits, the actions that we take when we're feeling a certain emotion or in a certain situation.
The first episode of the 5 parts.
Of the
just
5
to be
part
clear,
series.
not like the first episode 2 years ago.
Yes, first episode of this series where we talked about the habits. We were talking about more like actions that we take. In the last episode, the second part of the series, we were talking about the thoughts that we think. So that is the response. Now, finally, it's the reward. That's the 4th part of the habit loop. So the reward is either the feeling that you feel, or it's also what your brain learns about the action that you just took. Okay, so say, for example, I'm feeling stressed. I'm craving feeling relaxed. So the response I take is to sit and meditate. And the reward is, ooh, I feel calmer now. I have had that shift in feeling that I was craving. But then it's also teaching my brain, is this an action I should take in the future? So if the response that you choose to have or that you do have consciously or unconsciously gives you a good outcome, your brain thinks, okay, I'll do this again in the future. If it gives you a bad outcome or it was really hard to do or it wasn't worth the time or the energy, then your brain's going to say, let's not do this anymore.
The brain wants to take the path of least resistance.
Exactly. Always trying to use the least amount of energy possible. So that is our habit loop. Now, to bring this into emotions, you might notice, and actually if you kind of track your day, you'll probably notice habits of emotion that you feel throughout the day. So, just think for yourself right now, like when you wake up in the morning, what's generally the emotion that you're feeling? When you're driving to work, what's generally the emotion that you're feeling? When you're at work, after work, before you go to bed, kind of just think about that right now. And you'll see that there's patterns. There's patterns. We are on this feedback loop of cue, craving, response, reward.
And if you're unsure, do that this week. Just pay attention.
Yeah. And maybe even write it down. I actually did that once. I tracked my emotions for a whole week and saw patterns that I hadn't really noticed before. And I was like, interesting. Now that I know where the patterns are, I can start making shifts. So becoming more self-aware. Now, we've talked in the past, we had a whole episode or 2 episodes really on this, where we talked about how it's our thoughts that are actually creating our emotions. So you can check those out. It's episode 9 and 10. You can go back and listen to those. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, very science-based.
Yeah, but I'm just going to run through it super quickly so that we can understand this. So when you have a thought, it signals your brain to make like a key. That key goes into your body, locks into your cells, and makes you feel the emotion. So if I'm having a negative thought, I make a negative key that goes into my cells, locks in, and makes me feel that, frustration or anger or sadness or whatever that is. If I, on purpose, choose good thoughts or thoughts that I know will elicit that creation of a key that locks in and feels good, that is how the emotions are created. All right, so let's actually put this into an example to make it more clear. So, those days where like it's a full moon and it's just you walk into the classroom and it's chaos from the first second?
Oh my goodness. I know.
We've all been there.
Yeah, the kids are crazy. It just seems out of control. You're just putting out fires all morning.
Yes.
Yep, been there.
Exactly.
We've all been there.
So in that situation, this situation where we're just juggling a bunch of crazy stuff all morning, the cue is the emotion that we're feeling in that situation. So the cue is we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Now, our craving, the next thing in the habit loop, is to feel calm and in control again. We want our students to calm down and refocus. We want to feel like we've gained back that control. So now the response is, what are we going to do to satisfy that craving? What is the action we're going to take? So imagine, all morning's been crazy. The bell rings. Your students go out for recess. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're craving reducing that feeling of overwhelm and feeling calm again. What is going to be the response? What's the action that you're going to take? Oftentimes, let's be honest here, you're going to choose between one or two things. If you want to feel in control again, you might not take a break and just keep working, organizing things, getting things prepped.
Get ready for the next class or whatever.
Yes. Or it might be something like, okay, I can't handle this like soup of emotions that I'm stewing in right now. I'm going to sit down and scroll Instagram to try to kind of get my mind off of the stress.
Yes. Avoid the emotions, avoid the thoughts around the emotions.
Exactly. So now the reward in this habit loop is, it is a shift in emotion. It's a shift in emotion. But we're not really addressing or managing our emotional state. Sure, we've dulled the feeling a little bit, but we're not getting that nice shift in emotion that we'd like to have so that we can be prepared for when our students come back into the classroom later.
Yeah.
So A better option could be noticing the cue. So just we start paying attention to our actions and our habitual emotional states. So we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. What's our craving? I'm tired of feeling overwhelmed. I need to calm down. So bell rings, it's recess. What would be a good response to take? Now, when we are feeling a big emotion, I want you to imagine like you've poured something into your body. You physically have the chemicals floating around in your body for that emotion of stress. So you can't just shift yourself out of that immediately. It is living in your body. You kind of have to like digest it.
We actually have a whole episode on that about the emotional scale, how you can't just go from like one extreme to the other. It's not going to happen in a split second.
Exactly.
Well, I'll link to that in the show notes because I can't remember what that
episode it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that one explains it really well. So yeah, we're living in this emotional state right now, and we want a response that's going to help us to get out of that emotional state, but it can be hard to figure out what to do. Now, our biggest suggestion that we always make is try to get yourself out of that situation and do something different. Take an action that is different and maybe even in a different location than where you were feeling the stress. So if you were in your classroom and bell rings, it's recess time, when you're still in your classroom, your brain is seeing all the cues that are causing the stress, right? It's replaying that habit loop of thought of what just happened, all the things that caused you stress. So the second you get yourself into a different location, so say you go outside or you go to the staff room or you go to anything that's a different physical space, now your brain is getting new and different cues just by your surroundings. So it starts to play out different thought and emotion habit loops simply by the change in space. Another option that's really great is movement. If you can go for a walk during that break, that is going to help your body to digest those emotions that are floating in there. You get a change in scenery, which is going to give you different cues to start different thought loops.
I personally love grabbing a tea bag and going to the staff room and then making tea and actually waiting till the water boils, and just so I can just take a break.
Yes. And, either while you're in the staff room, change of scenery, you're probably going to chat with some friends or chat with some colleagues. Now, let's just have a reminder here to be careful to not go around and start telling the story of your difficult morning.
Yeah.
Because your brain wants to stay in that thought emotion loop. It wants to be stuck there. So it's going to try to keep you in that negative emotional space by making you want to talk about it so that you relive it, reimagine it, keep creating those same emotions. So notice when you feel tempted to tell the story, relive it, and instead just decide, no, I'm starting a new thought and emotion loop.
So we know that no emotion is permanent, even though in that moment, that chaos in the classroom, all of that, it feels like it's never going to end, right? It feels like we're going to be stuck in this overwhelm and stress forever. But we have to also remember that emotions are always changing. And in our day, we're probably going to feel 50% negative emotions and 50% positive emotions. But just remembering that we will get out of the emotion, that just that knowledge can really help. And I know that for myself, through my mindfulness practice, through sitting with my thoughts, with my emotions, really getting to know them, it's like help me understand this at a much deeper level that I can't quite explain.
It's not at just a theoretical level, it's at an experiential level.
Yeah, everybody knows that when they're in emotion, it doesn't last forever. But when you're in it, it's hard to believe that. But one thing that my practice has taught me is that I don't stay in that emotion forever. And it's like, I know it. And just that helps me to get out of it. And the awesome thing there too is that when I'm stuck in that emotion, say by lunch, I'm like super overwhelmed, super stressed out, I can recognize the emotion faster than I ever could before. So it's like I recognize right away, okay, I'm in this state of overwhelm and stress. And right away, I can ask myself, okay, what action can I take to get out of this? And that's the difference from when I wasn't practicing mindfulness to now, because it's the catching myself. Whereas I would just let it linger for so long before. And yeah, I would be scrolling Instagram to try to just like mask any emotions. But taking that time to recognize what emotion I'm having and being able to take action right away, just that I can get out of the emotion so much faster and feel awesome again. And then by the time the kids come back after recess, I'm good to go, you know?
Yeah, reset and you're ready to like start fresh again, which yes. I'm sure is reflected in the students too, because when you're frustrated, they can feel that emotion and they get agitated as well. And when you're calm, that totally gets reflected in them.
Yeah.
I just want to like zoom the lens out here and look at this even as a little bit more long term. So knowing that our thoughts create our emotions, and then we get in these habits of thought and emotion that we kind of get stuck on. One thing that really helped me this past year when I was juggling a lot of things and feeling overwhelmed and starting to feel a lot of emotion of anxiousness, which hadn't really been something that I'd experienced in the past. So it was kind of new to me to deal with some anxiety. It was really helpful for me to recognize that I might not be able to get out of this today, but this is just a season. This is just a challenging season, and it's not going to last forever. And
yes, that in itself is such a reprieve.
And it probably lasted like at least a month that I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And what really helped me to be okay with it was just be like, okay, I'm just going to feel this emotion. It's just some chemicals in my body right now. And like, I'm going to shift out of this in time. And this isn't going to stay forever. And I'll learn something from this while I'm here. But I will get out of this.
Oh, what, like, yeah.
Because the fear with big emotion is always that, oh my God, I'm going to be like this forever.
That's actually, like that's what it feels like.
Yeah. But mindfulness has taught me and you that that's not the case. Everything is always shifting. Everything's always changing. Things are on loops. Things are in cycles. Things are in seasons. And if you can kind of just learn to observe those cycles, observe those seasons, observe your habits of craving, response, reward, or cue, craving, response, reward, or the thought emotion cycle, you just feel a little bit more like you understand yourself more.
Yes.
And it feels less scary.
And I think that just having that knowledge about your own emotions and being in control, like you can't always control that you have a negative emotion, but you have the control over taking the right steps to choose a different emotion.
Yes.
Just that is a huge game changer for avoiding teacher burnout.
Yes. Big time. Big time. And yeah, being able to understand how the model works and then be able to work with it. And like you said, the negative emotion, it's there, but it doesn't last as long once you understand how this cycle works.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is something that we can and also should, just like I said last week, teach to our students. Because if they can manage their own emotions, oh my goodness, their life becomes easier. Your life as a teacher becomes easier. It is good for everyone.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
How can we teach this in the classroom?
So, practicing it for ourselves is step step one.
That's
but
right.
we also have a whole unit in Educom Classroom that teaches this to students and will help you as a teacher as you're learning it with them to really understand this at a deeper level. So, in Educom Classroom, it's all ready to use lessons. You press play on the guided mindfulness practice that's created by us for the classroom. And you also have printables that are going to help you to get even deeper with this with your students.
And there are a few units about emotions, but there is one specifically that's called Mindfulness and Emotions, and it's really based on everything that we talked about in today's episode.
Exactly. So you can try it out for free, actually, by going to www.educalm.com, sign up for the free trial. And if you like it and you want to have a guided mindfulness practice and printables for every day for the entire school year, then you can sign up to become a member of our community and have access to everything that we create for Educom Classroom.
Our amazing community.
Our community is so awesome.
You are part of our community, and we're
Yes.
just so grateful.
Yeah. Everyone is so kind and supportive and wants to collaborate and encourage. It's just a great community to be a part of. So we invite you in, go to educalm.com and sign up for the free trial.
All right. What is the exit ticket for today?
So your exit ticket for today is to pay attention to your emotions and start practicing figuring out what action you can take to shift your emotional state. So remembering that when you're in the situation that is causing a negative emotion, that you're on a cue, craving, response, reward loop. So when you can get yourself out of that situation. So for example, if you're stressed out when you get home from work, what action can you take that just elicits good feeling emotions? Do you want to go for a walk outside? Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to make a nice meal? What is it that you can do that that action helps you to feel good? So start paying attention to that. Start noticing what can be your go-to actions for when you are starting to slip into those stressful times so that you can avoid teacher burnout and catch it before you're burnt out.
Yes. And what are we talking about next week on the podcast?
Yeah, so you'll have to tune in next week as we continue our series on avoiding teacher burnout. We're going to talk about shifting your perspective to feel more calm, balanced, and joyful in and out of the classroom.
So fun.
We will see you back here next week.
Have a great week.
Worry, stress, and anxiety are a reality in today's schools. When students are distracted, their brains aren't ready for learning. Getting them to calm down and focus can feel impossible. Don't feel helpless, frustrated, or overwhelmed any longer. Get Educom Classroom, our online mindfulness program that's transforming classrooms and improving student wellness and learning. With Educom Classroom, students and teachers learn concrete strategies and common vocabulary to manage emotions and behaviors. They both leave the classroom better equipped to overcome life's challenges. In your Educom Classroom membership, you'll get a full year of ready-to-use audio, video, and printable mindfulness lessons for the classroom, plus access to a caring and supportive community of like-minded teachers. Try Educom Classroom for free by going to www.educalm.com. Educalm is spelled EDUCALME. Thrive in a calm learning atmosphere.